Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Celebrity Creator Show. We have a fantastic show lined up for you, as we always say every week, but every week is better than the one before. Wouldn't you agree, Kathy?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. On that note of Kathy, I'd like to briefly introduce her. She's got an unbelievable pedigree of experience. You won't believe, but we're going to make this brief. She's got over 25 years of being an operations manager and a sales manager, all this with a Fortune 500 company. And I didn't even know that when I met her, and since had learned that, so I was even further impressed after I already found out what I knew about her earlier. If that makes sense. Sure hope so. It's okay if it doesn't. We'll get over it. In addition to that, she is a phenomenal social media coach. If you need any assistance in the social media arena, if you need your Facebook fan page likes to go up, if you need more people to follow you on Twitter, LinkedIn, she does it all. Give Kathy a jingle or contact her on our contact link above. She's also a budding speaker. We have spoken on stage together, also working on a book together, and just it goes on and on. She's a power seller on eBay, top rated seller on eBay. Those are two different things with certificates that go with them, and just a phenomenal individual, and I can't imagine doing any business without her because she truly is the glue that holds this show together. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to my wonderful friend and co-creator of this very show, Kathy Stover. How you doing, Kathy?
Oh my gosh. Brian, I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much. You always just say so many wonderful things about me, and I've got to tell you, you said that I'm the glue that holds us together. I never told you one more thing. My middle name is Elmer. No, I'm just kidding. I think I'm channeling Adam Ace. I listened to Craig Duswald on his Rockstar radio show today, and Adam was on there. Sorry, guys, I can't help it. Anyway, I want to tell you about my dear friend Brian, who is also the co-founder, co-host, co-creator of the Celebrity Creator Show. It's been an absolute thrill over the past year and a half putting everything together and sharing each week with him. Brian has over 24 years of software experience. He's been a software engineer working for various companies in various capacities. He also is a speaker and author. As he said, we're penning a book together. He talks about me being the glue. He is the absolute technical genius in what you see that is put together each week. He also is involved with social media and other things as well. We've got some exciting things coming up. I know we can't talk about it now, but Brian, I absolutely adore you and enjoy working with you each week. And I'm going to throw it back to you so that we can introduce our fabulous guest tonight.
Beautiful. And, you know, if we're both glue and you're Elmer's, I must be crazy.
I love it. You're channeling him too.
Oh boy, you know, we won't quit our day job. Don't worry, folks. What I'd like to do is introduce you to our next guest. It's a rather lengthy introduction, but I think it sets the table very well for who this gentleman is and his past experience and what led him to where he is today. So bear with us and do definitely listen very carefully to this. He's a wonderful individual that Kathy and I met at a past event where we talk about events all the time on this show. And we highly recommend you continue to go to events, live events, boot camps, seminars, etc. You meet some unbelievably incredible people like Mr. Alan Skidmore. He is an electrical engineer by degree, but a techie by choice. Love him already. Alan grew up in West Virginia, where he worked on many different types of equipment and machines that was used on his grandparents' mini farm. So he learned hands-on skills very early. He developed an interest in electronics and music as a teenager and built many electronic gadgets and equipment from scratch, including electronic keyboards and amplifiers. During the same time, he began learning the secrets and techniques of recording both public speakers and music in live settings. It's getting more interesting. His experience goes all the way back to the days of 8-track and reel-to-reel tape. I laugh because that kind of dates him, but I know what he's talking about too. And so it dates us all. His interest in work with video games goes all the way back to 8mm film and predates the VHS recorders with reel-to-reel videotape recorders that didn't even record in color. Okay, I got to admit, that is before my time. I'm kidding. We're having fun tonight.
Hi, Alan.
He's not even here to defend himself yet, but we'll bring him on. You'll get your chance, Alan. It's fine. And pull off the gloves. We can take it. Since his college days, he has worked with many organizations on their sound and video systems to allow both live and recorded presentations. Alan has kept up with all the latest trends and equipment in audio and video recordings and began using digital recorders for all audio and video presentations when they became available. And that wasn't that long ago, actually. So you can see he's keeping up current with the trends. He began his speaking career in the early 90s, filling in for his pastor on occasion and speaking in many churches for a nonprofit organization. He joined Toastmasters in 2003 and earned his Distinguished Toastmaster designation in 16 months, which is a rare accomplishment. This is something that usually takes 5 years or more, and you'll see why when we bring him on. He's a very, very pleasant individual and very articulate, and he's a techie kid, and I love him. For the past 10 years, Alan has spoken both around the country and internationally on customer service, social media, and many technical subjects. He has spoken in Vancouver, Canada, Seattle, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and in 2010 spoke in Melbourne, Australia, and Ghana, Africa. So he's truly an international speaker. In the past few years, Alan has worked with many well-known people in the speaking industry to help them create successful products to sell. We've seen him at these events, including James Malinchak, Jonathan Sprinkles, Corrine Gregory, Marianne Amon, Craig Duswalt, and many more. All right, we're done with the introduction, so let's bring on the man himself. I'd like to introduce everyone to Mr. Alan Skidmore. How are you doing tonight, Alan?
Hey guys, Brian, Kathy, it's great to be here. I'm doing well.
Excellent.
Very excited to be here tonight.
As we are.
We are excited to have you as well.
Wow, with an introduction like that, I should just say thank you and good night.
Yeah,
so, you know,
we've done that.
Hey, you just stole Brian's line. That's what he says sometimes when we're talking.
I do.
But you know, I think it's so important that people really get a flavor and a sense of who our guests are in particular.
Yeah.
And you, as Brian mentioned, have just some phenomenal accomplishments. Even going back to the reel-to-reel and the 8-track tape and all that stuff, you know.
Well, that's true. I still have a reel-to-reel tape recorder. And I've even got an 8mm movie projector, but my days do go back to the 8-track in the 70s. And back when I was in the high school, we actually had a black and white reel-to-reel video recorder we worked with. So I started early. I've been at this for a long time.
I'll be darned. Well, you know, I just want to say this. If everybody detects an eloquent tone to Alan's voice, why don't you tell us where you are actually coming in live from tonight?
I am actually in my home office in Charleston, West Virginia. I am a country boy by choice and born that way, and I've lived here all my life. Traveled all over the country, been to all 50 states, been to a handful of other countries as well. But I'm sure that there's a little bit of twang coming through there. But hey, you know, I've doesn't bother me at all. It's
we've got an accent here, right?
Oh yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
yeah, we're from California, dude.
Dude,
we have a twang too.
Well, hey, Alan,
yet, but.
Well, listen, I'd kind of like to start it off tonight and ask, why should speakers have products? Why is it important?
Well, Kathy, the thing is a lot of people that want to get into speaking business, and I've met so many people that they're starting out and they've been through speaker training and they've learned how to speak. They may have joined Toastmasters and everything like that. But the real key, if you pay attention to speakers who've been around for a long, long time, and I'm going to say like Brian Tracy, Les Brown, and Bob Proctor, and some of these, and Mark Victor Hansen, some of these guys that's been around practically forever, if you pay attention, you'll notice that they have a lot of products. And that's the key to this business. Most young speakers or new speakers, young or old, when they start in the business, they first think that, well, we need to go out and just get a speaking gig, because a lot of speakers, they've got the gift of gab and they want an audience. They get an audience. They may get a paid gig. They may get $500, $2,500 or something to go to this gig, and they go do their talk for an hour, hour and a half. They made their money and they go home and they're happy. But there's a problem. To get more money, they got to go do that again. And again, it's just like a regular job. Even though speaking is a wonderful career, it can be just like a job because you have to keep going over and over again. Well, the real money in the real money in speaking can be in the products. There is a huge amount of money to be made in products. And if you'll see that most everybody has some sort of audio CD, they've got some sort of training package. Brian Tracy, I think he produces like 3 to 4 books a year. Wow. By himself. Wow. I listened to a program by him a while back, and he actually does the books himself. He does the editing. You would think with the big staff he would hand a lot of this off, but he actually does the books. He's got, I think, 300 plus different products out there of videos, web training, books, CDs, and so on and so forth. And he's one of the masters of that. So that's where the real money is. It can be made, is because when you go to a speaking engagement, you can bring some of these products with you. And I'll show you some examples here in a little bit. But you go to these seminars or speaking engagements, and you've got a CD to sell or a book to sell or something like that. You may make $2,500 or something like that for the engagement, but you can make as much or more than that on your products. One of my mentors that I've had in the past, James Malinchak, told me about a story that a place had hired him to come speak, and I think they were paying him like $3,000 or something. But he had some other training products and some books and things that he added on because it was under the training budget, and he ended up selling nearly $30,000 worth of material to this this organization, which was way beyond just the speaking fee. So there's a lot of money to be made in that, and that's why you need to have these products, because there's money in it.
Fantastic. And you mentioned that someone like Brian Tracy had 300 products to choose from. Now, for folks that are just starting out or aren't that far along in their speaking career or their personal business, you know, that could sound daunting. Well, I don't have 300 products. How am I going to do something like this? So what would you say that most speakers, you know, what do they have in common? What types of products do most speakers bring to their events when, you know, they don't have 300? Maybe they have 5 or 10. Maybe they only have a few. What do you see as the most common types of products that speakers bring with them?
The most common type of product that I see for just about every speaker is some sort of audio program, a CD program. And one of the reasons is that they're very economical to make. You can, in many cases, you can do the entire process yourself and hire out maybe parts of it and have a product created where that you can have this produced for very little money, but yet sell it for $10, $20, $30 a piece. And but the CD, the audio CD is one of the easiest ones. And just to give you an example here, and we'll get into more stuff here in a little bit. This is an audio program that I did with Jonathan Sprinkles about 2.5 years ago. He had a lot of people ask him about audio recording and how to do it and so forth. And so he and I had worked on some stuff together. So he asked me to do an interview, and which we did, and we just sat down and talked about this, and we just shot some questions back and forth very similar to this. And we came up with this program here. I had the graphics done, and then also had a graphic done for the CD on the inside. And realistically, if I remember right, the graphics and everything cost about $100, $150 to have done. And then I have these produced, and then I come out with a second one about a year ago, very similar, but a little bit nicer graphics on this. And these can be produced for $1 a piece in the right quantities. Now, you know, to me, this to me is just absolutely gorgeous to have done. Roughly $150, $200 to get the production done, and then you can actually have these actually made for you with the case, the printing, everything for roughly $1, maybe $2 a piece total, with shipping involved. And you know, there's a lot of money to be made in that, because most people sell these for like $20. Everybody's got a $20 bill in their pocket. And, you know, for $1, $2 a pop, even if you sell them for $10, that's a lot of profit to be made on a simple CD product. And if you've got a message, and a good message, and people like you, especially when you're on stage, they want to buy your product. And believe me, it's I've seen it done over and over again with a lot of these, as you guys talk about seminars and events. It's amazing the amount of stuff that people will buy.
Well, I'd imagine you sell quite a bit because you are a very likable individual, and I mean that truly. And I'm not kidding around with this one. It's not a joke.
Well, thank you. I do okay.
Excellent. I don't doubt that one bit.
Well, you know, with us, we have certain things, Alan, that we put together as far as software and hardware to put the show on each week. So right. As far as putting together CDs and some of the audios and the things that you do, by the way, I love your title, America's Product Coach. That is so cool.
Yes.
That's a Craig
But my
Duswalt
question
thing.
is,
Oh, of course.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I
that?
have to give credit to our buddy Craig Duswalt for that one.
You know
Cheers to
what?
Craig.
He is just so phenomenal in that way, isn't he?
Yes, yes, he is.
He had some impact on how we changed as well. So yeah, he is he is amazing, absolutely amazing.
He's a great guy, great guy.
But what I wanted to ask, as far as what you do, being America's product coach, with equipment, what is required to create some of the audio portion or some of the audio features?
Well, truthfully, it's very, very simple. If you give a lot of speeches or presentations, and you've got something there that you think you can sell that people will want, and usually if you're being paid to give a talk, then obviously somebody wants that information. It's very simple to do. As we talked earlier, that there's a lot of things that go back to the different types of recorders. Probably less than 3 or 4 years ago, I was using a mini disc, which worked very well. It was digital, but it was still a moving part. Well, now they've come out with these digital recorders. I'm sure everybody has seen something similar to this. There's all kinds of these. They're relatively inexpensive. This particular one is the one I like. It's called an Olympus DM420, and it stores, I don't know, like 30 hours worth of whatever you want to put on it. It's even stereo, which you don't really need for regular speeches and things like that. I add a lapel microphone that I plug into it, and I've used this to record some of my own presentations. When our buddy Glenn Morshire gave his presentation at Craig's event there in September, I had him. He actually used this one and recorded his presentation, and we created a CD from that.
Nice.
And it was just really, really easy because it's already digital by recording. You take you just plug the USB port into your computer, and there's all kinds of different software out there. The one that I like is SoundForge, the Sony SoundForge. They make 2 versions of that. They make a high-end version that's about $300, and it's got a whole lot of features to it. Most people don't need that. They have a less expensive version that's called SoundForge Studio, and you can get that for roughly $60 or so off of Amazon. But for the Apple folks, they have GarageBand and several other free software out there, and the PCs do too, that you can get to actually do your editing. So you take the audio that you recorded, and you go in there and edit it, and it's very easy to do. Is you listen to the thing, you adjust your levels, and you probably cut the front and the back off of it because it's just noise to begin with. And then I have even edited for a bunch of other folks and do cut out the ums and the ahs and the stutters, and it seems like everyone has the tongue click. They'll go and it seems everybody does it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a common thing. And cut it out, and you don't even know it's there in the finished product. But the software allows you to take care of all that. It's just like cutting and pasting in Word, except you're dealing with sound. Then you get some, if you want music on it, and some people do, some people don't, you can get what's called royalty-free music, where you pay for it one time. You may pay $30 for it, and then you can use as many times as you want, and you don't have to worry about licensing issues like if you would use, something from a, well-known band. You can get into trouble with that. But you put the music at the front and the back, create tracks, and then burn it to a CD, and then you've got a finished product. And all you've got to do at that point is find someone to duplicate them for you. And again, the place that I recommend is it's in New York, and I can send that information to folks who are interested. It costs you about $1 a piece to get done. I was spent a couple weeks ago over Tom Antion's, and he actually does all of his own products, and he has 400 different products available that he's done over the years, and he produces all of his own. He does everything in-house, and that's doable too if you're willing to spend the money for it. And it's not that expensive, but it is possible. So realistically, to buy all the equipment such as the recorder, the microphone, the software just to do live recordings, you're looking at maybe a couple $100 total. If you want to do something in studio, and I'm actually using this mic right now, is they make several different versions of these. This is an Audio Technica USB microphone. It's a studio mic, and you can plug this just into your USB port. It works on a PC or a Mac, and again, you can do the same thing recording in your office or at your home or wherever, just so it's a quiet place. And that's one of the things that I try to tell people when I do the editing is make sure that when you do record, make sure it's quiet. You don't want the cats and the dogs in the background and the telephones and the airplanes and all that. And sometimes that's impossible to do away with, but you need to pay attention to that just because it sounds more professional if it's got, quiet levels in the background. Again, you record the audio direct to your computer, whether it's a PC or a Mac, edit it, burn your CD, and hey, you've got a product, and it's something you can do literally in a day and have it ready to go.
That sounds great. And a lot of people that are watching right now, one of the common questions we often get, or we hear at events as well, I don't have any products. Where do I start? And we've gone through shows where we've had solutions to that answer. Like right now, we're doing a quote-unquote interview, and it is being recorded. It doesn't have to be video like Alan does. Carry around a recorder and record an interview with a guest who is an expert in their field or very knowledgeable at the very least. That provides value, and you save that.
Exactly.
And you hand it off to someone like Alan to edit it for all the pops and
Right.
and weird noises, because he is very good at it. As you could hear from the intro, he's loved and been into this type of thing since a very early age. So he knows what he's doing and keeps current. But before we go on, I wanted to really quickly mention for our viewers that you can see Alan's mug right above us. His nose right there. If you click on it, don't do it now, but if you click on his nose right on it, that'll take you to his Facebook page. So be sure to go over there and connect with Alan after the show. Don't do it now. And in addition to that, that will take you to Facebook so you get to know him as a person. Beneath us, there's the Products Coach banner, and be sure to click on that. That will take you to his website. How's that website doing right now, Alan? Is it pretty much up and ready to go?
The website is up. I had some editing to do on that. I got that up and running yesterday. For the folks that go to the website, and as a benefit to your viewers here, they go to my website and just scroll down there at the bottom. There's a place there where you put your name and email address and click on the submit button, and it will immediately send you to a PDF file that will explain all the stuff that we're talking about here tonight as far as doing audio CDs. I explained the process, the actual equipment. There are links in there to Amazon to show you exactly what you need.
Wow.
and how the process is done. It's I don't know, it's like 5 or 6 pages, and it's everything that you need to know to get started doing your first audio product.
Well, I need to go away for a minute because I need to go and opt in. I want to be the first one. I didn't even know that. Thank you so much. That sounds like a jam-packed.
You know what's great about that? I was going to ask him to repeat what that Olympus number was for the recorder, but now I can wait and we can keep talking.
There you go.
It's listed in the report with the links and everything, and it is on there. And I highly recommend it. It's like everything electronic. Every 6 to 12 months, they've got something new. But I really like that one. So something similar, anything like that's going to work for you.
Excellent.
Alan, thank you so much for doing that. That's amazing. We really appreciate that. We know our viewers will as well.
Complete surprise.
Right,
We had no idea. That's very, very nice and gracious of you. We appreciate that. Now, you talk about burning CDs and selling those as products, but before you sell them and you just have a CD in your hand, how do you get those packaged and ready to sell? You don't want to just have them in a cookie cutter CD sleeve that you get from Staples or some office place or Best Buy. You want to kind of spruce that up, wouldn't you? Where would you get the packaging done? How do you go about doing that?
The way that I did that on like this product here that I showed you, what I did here was that, again, the audio was something that I already did, and of course doing this myself, the audio portion just cost me time. It took me 2 or 3 hours to edit it till I was happy with it. I added music to it. Then I went to elance.com, and there are other sites out there, and I hired a lady up in Ohio to do this graphic work for me. And she did that. I provided her with the pictures and the text for this, and she did the rest. She turned this around in a couple days, and if I remember right, it was about $150. And then she sent me the PDF files, I believe it was, of this material with that and the graphics for the CD, which is on the inside. Which when I got this, it was just really cool because as soon as I got this, I showed my boys. I said, "Look, your dad's on a CD. He's famous now." So I just thought that was really neat. But then what I did is there is a site called Kunaki.com. They're based out of Brooklyn, New York, and it's spelled KUNAKI.com. And you go to that site, you register on the site, and then all you have to do is upload your files, the file of the CD and the graphics files and the CD label file. And if you've got a high-speed internet connection, it's still going to take about an hour because the files are very large. And then it's in their system, and you can order 1 or 1,000. Just depends on what you want. And again, depending on quantities and shipping, whether how far you have to ship from New York, realistically, you're looking at maybe $1 to $2 max per product. And again, if you sit down and like this product here, I think it took me approximately a week to get out. I had the audio. I did the audio editing. The lady took about 2 or 3 days to get the graphics back to me. When I got that and I was happy with it, I uploaded it to the Kanaki site, ordered my materials, and I think it was maybe 5 days. I had a big box with a bunch of CDs in it. So realistically, if you've got 2 weeks to your next speaking gig, you can have this stuff ready in hand and ready to sell that quick. Yeah, so it is easy to do, and there's work involved, but it's a lot easier than most people think.
That's pretty amazing. Well, I now know, and Brian and I working through what we've been doing for the last year and a half, what it takes to put on a live streaming video show like we have, yes, which is not typical live streaming video compared to what some of the other things that are out there. But right, from your perspective and what America's product coach does, what kind of equipment and what does it take to put together video?
With video, there's more to it, but again, it's not complicated. With video, I was at Tom Antion's retreat here about 2 weeks ago in Virginia, and let me tell you what, for you folks out there that know Tom, if you haven't been to his retreat, do that. Trust me, it's well worth the effort and the time involved. But while we were there, I learned a lot of stuff about video from an actual Hollywood producer, or an actual Hollywood director. His name is Craig Sexton, and he has literally worked with everyone in Hollywood. And he's got a video, craigsexton.com. I think Craig Sexton Films or something like that. Just type it in Google, and he's got a video of all the people he's worked with. And he taught us a lot about video and what it takes. And truthfully, again, for most people, you don't need what's called a 3-chip HD multi-$1,000 camera to do video. Realistically, most portable digital cameras that practically everybody has nowadays, the little pocket cameras, most of those will shoot some sort of video, either a QuickTime video or some version of that. Or, as you may know, that they've got all these different flip cams out there. Kodak makes some, then there's the flip cam, and most of those actually shoot in HD of 720 or 1080 HD resolution. And I've seen some of the stuff on that, and it's just amazing. And it's very simple. You just simply hold it up, point, and shoot. Of course, all the major manufacturers like Canon, Sony, and all the different folks, they make different video cameras, and they're all really small, handheld. I bought my son one here about a year ago that's actually HD, and it just records to a memory card. And you can take that, put a little bit of light on your subject, and I recommend that you go with a camera that has an external microphone input, mainly because if you're just shooting with the camera and you're 10 feet away, the sound is not going to sound very good. So that's why I recommend the Canon Vixia series. They have the external microphone input on there, and that helps you with a much better sound quality on that. And that's what we used, and actually a very high level camera at Tom's place just for practice. But with that, you can do that and edit it with, there's some fairly simple programs out there on Windows. There's some free programs. One of the high-end programs on the PC end is called Sony Vegas. Now that program is about $600. And it requires some horsepower machines to run that, but it is one of the best editing programs out there. There was a movie that was done a couple years ago, one of those scary movies. I don't remember the title, that was made for like $60,000 and made millions. Do you guys remember what that was called? Anyway, all they used...
I have nightmares.
Well, yeah, me too. I'm not much into that, but I read the story about this show that they had a real nice Sony camera. They had this software, and that was it. And that's how they produced the movie, and they did everything with that. They've got some cheaper versions that you can buy at Best Buy, Sam's, or the electronic places for less than $100 on a PC. And again, you can take the video off the memory card, put it in there. You got to learn the software. There is a learning curve involved. But you can get there and take that, edit it, and then you can load that onto YouTube or create DVDs or just do web-based things. And one of the things I'm promoting now with what a lot of folks are telling me and what I'm seeing is that, everybody looks at Google as the main search engine.
Yeah.
And for right now, that is the story. Google is #1 search engine. Do you have any idea what the #2 search engine is?
Let me think.
Facebook.
Facebook. Actually, it's YouTube. YouTube is the YouTube is the #2 search engine right now, and there is more stuff, and I can't even remember the specs on it or the details. But YouTube is just huge nowadays. That there is so much video uploaded onto YouTube at this point that if you sit down and try to watch every single thing that's on there today, it would take you like 600 years. There's so much stuff out there, but YouTube is very, very powerful. If you will create, and I've talked to a lot of people that are in different businesses, and they say, well, I'm not a speaker. I've got a technical business or a service business or something like that. That's fine. What I recommend people do is take their camera, get a flip cam, which costs you $100, $150, get you a flip cam, light the thing up reasonably well, get you an external mic, and you could use something like this other one here. Shoot a 2-minute video about your product or service, and just do some 2-minute videos and upload those to YouTube, say once every day or once a week or something, and you will get your name out there. I met a guy in Vegas last fall who had put one video on YouTube about some technical service that he did, and he was getting calls from all over the world just from that one video. So the power is unbelievable, and it really doesn't cost that much money. Now, I will tell you that video is more difficult to do than audio because there's more involved with the picture, but again, it's still very doable, and it's not that expensive compared to what it used to be, say, 5 years ago. So it's easily done, easily done.
And one of the cool things of doing recorded video versus live is you can do it as many times over and over and over as you choose, right. Especially in the digital age. You're not burning film. You're not burning anything. You just write over it again. But you're exactly right, because Kathy did something very similar to that on a pretty regular basis. She came up with this theme, very creative, and she became the unknown IBO, and IBO stands for something, but independent business owner at the time. But she was very creative and had this bag over her head, and she put very artsy like eyes around it and stuff, and she had kids with these little bitty bags, and she did all these great little skits with them. And she started getting a lot of input and feedback for that. And I started to try to do one where I say, I am driving under the influence. I would drive and have a stiff or a rigid mounted camera on my dash. I wasn't holding it, and I would start it up and start driving and do videos on a regular basis, driving under the influence of, and then insert topic here. So it's really fun because you can do it over and over and over again. I just had to, burn a lot of gas because take 4, take 5, take 6. But it was fun. And it's a lot easier. It is easier if you're recording it because, like I said, you can always do a redo, another take. I love this next topic because something Kathy and I are deeply interested in, and that is what is required to write a book, and is that possible? Now we're talking about audio and video. Is that possible with audio?
It is. Most people think that writing a book, they always think of the old style writers, sitting over with the pencil in the ear and, over the old manual typewriter, just pecking things away. And just the thoughts of that just exhaust me before I ever get started. A lot of writers, they will sit at their computer, and everybody's got laptops and computers and the different things that you can write the normal way. And I've talked to a lot of people, and that's actually how they do it. But there is an easier way, depending on if you want to pursue this. And I've done this for a couple projects I've worked on because it's easier for me. My mind goes way faster than I'm able to type. So by the time I've typed out my thought, the next thought is already passed, and then I forgot what I was thinking about. Yeah. So the continuity gets lost.
I think we can all relate to that one.
Yeah, I think everybody's guilty of that.
Yeah.
But what I have discovered is that, again, you can take the digital recorder such as this here, or you can record into the big unit and record an audio file, convert it into an MP3 or something like that. And what I've done before is go out to Elance or Craigslist or some of these other places and find somebody who is willing to transcribe the audio for you. Now, last summer I did a project and I had like 5 hours of material that I needed transcribed. The audio quality was very good. It was a live presentation, but I wanted it all in text form. So I went to Elance. I found a lady who happened to be in West Virginia on the other side of the state, and she charged me, I think, like $30 per hour of material. So I had like $150 plus into this. It ended up being nearly 120 pages of Word material.
Wow. And
with that, I already had the ideas, the thoughts on paper, and then all you have to do is go back and edit it.
All right.
And again, going back to Brian Tracy cranking out as many books as he does, he says that the key to having a good book is the editing. Get the ideas down, especially when you first start. Just write. Don't worry about the English. Don't worry about the punctuation. Just get the ideas on paper and run with it. And then let it set for a couple days or a week or something, and then go back and edit it, and then have other people look at it for you and get some input that way. But realistically, this is one of the easiest ways I've ever seen, because you can just sit on your back deck and you've got all these ideas for the book in your head. Just start talking. And even if none of it makes real sense, or maybe there's not continuity to your thoughts during that process, still send it off. Find somebody that's good that you can work with. Have it transcribed for you. You've got it on paper. You didn't have to sit there and do all the pounding out from the beginning, and you're really, I would say, 2/3 of the way there at that point. So much easier way to do than actually sitting there and typing out letter by letter. So much easier.
I just want to throw this out there. Along with that and what we're talking about at the moment, Brian and I both have this. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dragon Naturally Speaking.
Yes.
And I have used that and put the headphones on and started doing the talking. You set it up so that it gets your dialect in your voice and everything. Although I find using that I'm not saying paragraph and line and skipping, and oftentimes I will end up with pages and pages of stuff that you have to still go through and decipher. So that gets a little bit crazy. But
right.
Anyway, it's something I kind of played with.
I have worked with the Dragon, what they call it, Dragon Naturally Speaking. I have worked with that, and I've run into that same problem. It's a lot better than it used to be. Some of the stuff that I worked with roughly 10 years ago, you had to spend a couple hours just reading certain paragraphs into it so it could get used to your dialect and your verbiage and how you sound, so that it would understand your words. But again, it's the same thing. If you didn't say paragraph, period, stop, space or whatever, you just had this run-on thing of words. Now, I know it's a lot better than it used to be, and there's now a new free iPhone app by Dragon that will do the same thing. You can actually, and I've got it on my iPhone, you hit it, you say whatever you're going to say, and it converts it to text on your phone. And I've just used it a handful of times, but every time it's been 100% correct, which is pretty neat. But again, I'm not talking about pages and pages of text. It's just, a short note to myself, and that works very well. That's why I recommend a transcriber over the software. The software can be good, but in the long run, when you've got a human involved and they know that there should be a paragraph, or this is a new idea or new thought, they'll know to put that on paper in that way. Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you something. As far as teleseminars go, what about people who might be interested in being involved in a teleseminar? Is that something that's hard to do with some of the technology that's out there nowadays?
That's another piece of technology that is evolving, and there's several ways to do that. It just depends on how many people you think will be on the call. whether you want to do the recording yourself or have that done by a teleconferencing service. And again, there's multiple ways to do it. Some can be done relatively inexpensively. Some is going to cost you some money. One of the sites that a lot of people use is called freeteleconferencing.com. And you just sign up there, and they give you a telephone number you call in. It's basically called a bridge line. And they set this thing up where that you call in, you send out an email to the people that you would like to be on this call, and maybe it's a coaching call, or maybe you're doing a big teleseminar. And Tom Antion is great at all this. He does a lot of those types teleseminars, and he'll have 200, 300, 400 people on the line. But for those kind of situations, you've got to be with the right service that can carry that many people. And now, again, Tom does his own recording. He has his own equipment, and you need something called a digital hybrid device where you plug your microphone in, plug your telephone line in. It's tied to your digital recorder or your computer where you can record that on your own. And Tom does one of the best setups I've seen of that, and I saw it at his place there a couple of weeks ago. And it's the sound quality is just great. With some of these less expensive services, they can still give you a product that you can do essentially within an hour with your teleconference. The problem is, though, I've seen the audio quality not be as great. I edited a couple programs for some people in the past that had done something similar to that, and there was a lot of cleanup involved because the quality just wasn't what it really needed to be. The information was still there, but it wasn't as good as it could be. So again, there's a lot of ways to do that, and that's something I am working on a product now that will explain all the different options to do that. And the people that get on my list, they'll be the first to hear about this when I get this material ready within the next month or so, and show you how to do all these different things. So again, teleconferencing, it is relatively easy to do. It just depends on how you want to do it, and realistically, it's something you could have put together within a day as well. Just get on a site, sign up for a site or a service, send the emails out to the people you want on the call, and some people charge for it. Tom charges for some of his seminars and his teleconferencing, some he does not. But in either case, he's recorded it, and whether he charged up front or not, he still ends up with a product to sell later. Exactly. So even if you do the call for completely free and say there's nobody on the call, which I know for some folks has happened, you still got a product, and it's something you can sell later. So it's something else to keep in mind. The teleconferencing is a big business nowadays.
Excellent tip.
So talk about total repurposing of everything. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
There are a lot of people out there that they just want to be they want to do their own thing. They want to make money through their program. You talked about coaching, so they can bring in some members. They come into the coaching program. They make a good enough money. For those that are like that, why would they need products? Why would a coach need products when they already have a viable, flourishing business of their own right?
Well, it depends on the type of coaching of what they're doing and the type of client they're looking for. One of the better known coaches that I'm familiar with, and I met him a couple years ago, is a fellow named Dan Miller. He's based out of Nashville. He's got a program called 48 Days. And he's written a couple books about that, and it has to do with job searches, people looking for their right career. And as you know, a lot of people out there are in the wrong place, or they feel they're in the wrong place. And so he does a lot of coaching with that, and he charges a lot of money to do coaching, but he cranks out products pretty much every year with CDs and audios, because the thing is if you have a coaching program, and even if you've got several people within your program that you are coaching, you still need to keep that funnel full. You want to bring in new people, so it helps to have products that you can either give away or sell to get your name out there, because you still need to generate folks, because you may have somebody comes coach with you for a year, 2 years, depending on what type of program you have, and then after that they move on because they've got what they need, but you need to still keep that funnel full. So again, product always helps, because it gives a way to get your name out there, whether you sell it or give it away. Your name is on it. As our friend Craig Duswalt talks about books, that he says everybody should have a book, because by having that book, you get your name out there. He says you should have the book instead of a business card. Yeah. And depending on your industry, that may or may not work. But still, I think that's a fantastic idea, because if you hand somebody a book, and they're going to look at you like, wow, this guy must really know what he's doing because he's got a book. And same thing there. Again, products are always going to help your business, even if you're not in the speaking business. Let's just say you are in the air conditioning business or something. If you've got a CD or a small book or something that you wrote, then you're perceived differently than the rest of your peers because, hey, this guy actually sat down and wrote a book.
Yeah.
And you might write a book to say, hey, this is how to keep your air conditioning heating system running at optimum levels, and just do this and this and this, and where you're uncomfortable with it, call me, I'll come out and help you. And so, again, it's simple things like that that anybody can use in just about any business. You just have to see how you can repurpose or purpose that product for your particular business. So it is doable.
Awesome. Well, America's product coach, Alan Skidmore, has put us in the mindset that we all need to have products. And I now realize that and how valuable it is, even when you are pointing out about the air conditioning guy, because sometimes local businesses don't think in the same realm as internet people. So that's phenomenal. But with that being said, how many products do we need to have?
Well, it depends on the person and the individual. Again, as I said, like Brian Tracy and Tom, they've got 300-400 products, but they cover a whole different gamut of things. I've seen that a lot of folks have got 5 or 10. Again, it depends on what you're promoting, what your business is about. If you're just coaching, say, small business people, then you may only have 2 or 3 different kinds of products and maybe a book or something, or you don't want to call it a workbook, but a action guide or something with the information in there, and that may be all you need. The thing is, though, as we've all seen, they call this the information age, and we kind of get overloaded sometimes with information, but yet the information evolves. And if you've got something, it's like even the CD that Jonathan and I did a couple years ago, there's some things on there that are already dated. And so you need to come up with some new things. And it's like any kind of business, your education or anything else, you don't want to do one thing and then sit on your hands and say, well, I've got that done, I'm good from now on. No, you got to keep up with things. And so creating products, I would say anybody should have at least 3 to 5 minimum, just to give a choice. Because if you've got one thing and then you create something else, then you can package them together and sometimes charge more money for that. Again, I learned some stuff at Tom Antion's place that he says, create one product, sell it, create a second product, and then you can bundle it and sell it with the first product and sell it by itself. And the more products you have, that gives you more options of doing things. Tom sells a lot of his products individually, but he also bundles together and puts out special packages. And again, we've heard him talk about being the king of ka-ching. I can tell you that that's true. And I watched him send out an email, and 20 minutes later, money's starting to come in. And it was just absolutely amazing to me. He made $2,000 sitting there at his desk in one day, and he just sent out an email. Now, he had to do a bunch of work up front, but you get this machine created, the product machine, you get that machine started. As he said, that he's been at this for quite some time now, that he's got this machine started. He said he can't turn it off if he wanted to. The money just keeps coming in. And it's doable for anybody willing to put out the work. And I'm going to tell you, there is work involved. Even as much stuff as I know about this and much experience, I'm still finding out there's all these little things that I need to learn, and you got to keep up with stuff. And it takes effort. But if you're willing to put in the effort, the payback can be absolutely amazing. So just go out there and do it.
Tom is a phenomenal individual, and he's like an open book. He is who he is. He's very friendly. I hit it off with him really quick. So did Kathy. He's just a down-to-earth guy who has really done well for himself. And as a result, he doesn't have to put up any facade or anything. He is the real deal. And Kathy and I love him to death, as well as Craig. All these people we're talking about are people we have met at different events. Craig has an event. Tom speaks at events. In fact, Tom and Craig are going to be at one tomorrow. And it's just they're always constantly moving and speaking along with other people. And when you get to meet people like this, you hold on to their coattails really hard, because you want to emulate what they do because of their credibility, their heart. You find the right people. These two are two of the right ones, along with Alan here. Kathy and I have been unbelievably blessed to meet the most incredible individuals at events, at live events. Just cannot say enough about them. We've talked about a lot of products, and now we've gone into, that was a great question, by the way, Kathy, and an even better answer, Alan, about how many products do you need to start off with. And, that made it manageable. Start with one, sell it, then get a second, and then bundle them. And now you've got three to five products,
Right.
so now you're there. Now, a lot of people struggle, though, after that. Now I have my products. What about pricing? What do I do here? I mean, now some of them may need packaging. Some may be electronically delivered. So one has
Right.
a cost incurred, the other doesn't. How do you manage that?
That depends on the product, the information, and your audience. And there's a lot of variables in that.
Yeah.
And just to give you some examples, as I mentioned with like this program here, cost me $1 to $2 to produce. I could easily sell this for $20 at an event. So I would say start off with something, your first product, especially if you do an audio product, you could sell something for, say, $10 to $20. $30 may be pushed it, but $20 especially because everybody's got a $20 in their pocket. Now, as our friend Marianne Eman, who was on the show here about a month ago, she wrote a book, and wonderful, wonderful book, by the way. I urge you to get this from Marianne. And she sells this for $12.95. Now, there's not as much profit in a book, but again, the perception from the expertise standpoint is better with a book than an audio. So something to keep in mind there. And then, like with our friend Craig, he came up with this, and this is one of the first programs I did for him. It's an 8 CD program, and I think he sells this for, I think, $297. $297, and there's a workbook and some other stuff that goes with it, and it's really nice package and everything here, and I don't remember what he told me, but this actual material cost is not that high. But recommendations from regular marketers and people who've been in the business, and really this applies to just about any business, but especially the speaking, you want a low-end product where you can get people that people might not know you, especially if they go to an event. And like somebody might come and see me and they're like, wow, who's this Skidmore guy? They like me, but they're not really willing to spend money yet because they really don't know who I am. So they may buy this one CD for $20. They don't have a whole lot invested, but they will spend the money for that. And they find out, hey, this guy seems to know what he's doing. He seems personable. I like him. I like his style. What else has he got? And then the next product may be a 2 or 4 CD program with maybe an action guide or something like that you would sell for maybe $97. And then you go to something bigger like what Craig does that's got multiple CDs, a bigger notebook, a bigger workbook, and then you're talking, $200, $300, $500. And I've seen some programs that are, really hefty with notebooks. And again, to give my buddy Tom, a plug here, it's one of his programs. I think he's got several of these. This is his. He calls it his butt camp because you sit on your rear end and make money off the internet. But you can sell some of those programs for in the neighborhood of $1,000 or more. I've seen real estate people have some very heavy programs that's multiple CDs, 2 big notebooks, and they'll sell them for $2,000, $3,000. And the material is not. The material itself may only cost $30, $40 to produce. It's the information inside that the people want, and that's what you're paying for. So you need a low end, a $10, $20, $30 product, say $100 product, and then move on up to say $200, $300, $500. You've got all those bases covered, and with that you can pretty much sell just whatever you need, and people will get what they're after. So cover all bases that way.
It's really interesting, Kathy, on that note that we went through that struggle ourselves about how do we price everything we have. And the remarkable thing that happened was we were basically told what we should price it by experts, those that had made it and were very well ingrained in the industry, so to speak. They understood the pricing models. So yet another way to figure out what you should price your products at, again, is go to events where you meet other like-minded entrepreneurs, some who are, they're all in different phases of their business. Some are at the peak and top, and those are obviously the ones you want to listen to a little stronger than the others. The others may just have an opinion, but they haven't gone through it into that whole channel just yet. But yeah, we found that was invaluable. Don't you agree, Kathy, that the information and suggestions we get?
Well, the other thing that I really resonated with me is Ellen giving the tips like, if you're not well known, you're just going out, having something is very important. Yeah. So at least having a CD that you can sell at a lower price point And then as you progress and become more well-known, then you can move into more expensive products. But what a great tip to at least have that. And
Correct.
maybe in your speaking, that would resonate better having a CD as opposed to having a book, or maybe even having a combination. I'm not sure, but I like that because it's a lower price point going in. And like you said, people are more apt to pull out a $20 bill to get to know you as
Right.
opposed to, whipping out the credit card for, $200-300. So
Right.
that was very valuable.
Right.
Really appreciate that.
Sure.
So how else can we get in touch with you, if you will tell our listeners? So you've already gifted everybody by going to your site and receiving a 5 or 6 page information on everything you've talked about tonight. But how can they get to you, Alan, and learn more about what it is that you do so that you can help them in their journey to become speakers and put some of these products together?
The main place is to go to my website, which is theproductscoach.com, and products is plural, theproductscoach.com. Fill out your name and email address, and my regular email address is listed on that site as well. And by getting your name on the list, I will be periodically sending out information as new things come along, and just sending tidbits of information about how to create products from, the whole different thing, from the YouTube to the audios to all the different things like that. So again, it's something, and it's not something you're going to be bombarded with, but on a regular basis, you would hear stuff from me. If you're interested in, if you want to do an audio, or you've already got an audio created that you would like to have some help editing with, I'll be more than glad to help you with that. Again, you can contact me through the email address on there. I will give you my office phone number, which is 304-755-5150. And if you're interested in doing some work like that, I'd be glad to work with you. Just leave me a message, and I'll get back with you. And as we said earlier, I have worked with some fairly big names out there, and I do all of Craig's stuff. And so he's just, whenever he does something, he says, "Hey, I'm sending this to you. Just take care of it." So, we got a real good relationship there. And Craig's just, another guy that's, you guys talk about going to events. Mm-hmm. His events is the best I have ever been to, and so I've been to all but the very first one, I think. And the people you meet, I'm a lone country boy from West Virginia that's out there, in Los Angeles, and a little bit out of my element. But the people that you meet are just absolutely amazing. Like you guys, I got to meet you guys, a lot of different celebrities, and just as you say, like-minded entrepreneurs and individuals that's just trying to make their way. And it's just an amazing experience to go to these things.
Well, I've got to tell you, Brian and I share the sentiments about Craig and also about you, Alan. In fact, I think we've been at the last 2 events together.
Yeah.
So
yes.
We're just honored that you agreed to come on our show. And as every week, it seems like we come to an hour so quickly, and we have done so again this week. But I just want to tell you, thank you so much for coming in from West Virginia. I love it. It's so exciting to have somebody, first guy from guy or gal, we haven't had any gals either, from West Virginia, so #1 on the map. But in addition to that, you happen to be show number 50, so the big
That's
number
right.
50, show number
Whoa.
50 on Celebrity Creators. So we're excited to celebrate that with you as well, and so thankful that we've been able to do what we've been doing, bringing wonderful entrepreneurs with great experience like you brought to the table to share with our viewers tonight. So I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for taking your time to share not only your expertise with Brian and I, but also for the people that come and share this hour with us each week. And I'm going to turn it back over to Brian.
And Kathy always says that so well. I have nothing left to say, so good night. No,
I get out of here.
You do a good job, but happy 50th, and here's to 50 more great shows. Clink, clink with our water.
Yes,
and thank you, Alan, for being a part of our 50th, and we are looking forward to the next 50 and well beyond that. But folks like you truly make it of value to others who come on to view, to spend their valuable time. And we would like to also thank our audience who are watching us live or on the recording later for spending your time watching this as well. I can't say enough great things about Alan. As Kathy said, we've met him on several occasions. He is a man of integrity, He has done work for high named individuals. That speaks enough right there that they keep coming back to him for their product creation time and time again. So highly recommend. So be sure, don't forget, click on his link at the bottom and get that free PDF and get on his list so you can interact with him and get his updates. Also click on his Facebook right on his nose after we leave this show and get connected with Alan Skidmore. Alan, once again, thank you so much. Any last words?
Well, Brian, Kathy, thank you so much for having me on here. This is my first experience, you know, live from West Virginia and internationally going around the country on a web TV show. I'm very pumped, and thank you so much for having me on here. I'm looking forward to working with you guys and everyone else out there. So thank you again for having me here.
Right back at you. And for everyone else, we will be back next week with another fantastic guest all the way from Australia. So be in tune for that. If you want to get an automated notification when that is coming, click on the register link above. Similar to Alan, we don't bombard you with emails. We just basically alert you of anything coming up, like another show and when it's going to air, etc. Anyway, with that, we want to honor your time, and we are past the hour. We will see you again next week. So long, everybody.
Thanks, guys.